So I felt called to come on here and do a quick video about the difference between our authentic self and our identity. Because sometimes we can identify with with wounded aspects of ourselves that is not our true authentic self. And this can be a little hard to differentiate between the two at first when we are on our healing journey. And as we go along, more of this ends up coming up for our awareness. So, I am not saying that I have all of this figured out within myself either, but I just wanted to come on and hold space for this conversation because I think it's an important one. Especially when we are healing and we are allowing ourselves to integrate back into healthy relationships and communities, because there can be I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for. It's like a temptation to block ourselves off or build these walls or put things in place to protect ourselves because we're still healing from the wounding. But at some point, those training wheels have to come off for us to fully stand in our sovereign power. Once we become more grounded and safe and secure within our own being and our own energy, then we realize that the outside influences of other people's energies don't sway us as much. And those boundaries aren't as necessary because it doesn't matter what someone else says because you realize that you don't have to internalize it. You don't have to pick it up. It's a gift that you don't have to take. And whose does it stay with? It's theirs, right? And this can be tricky because there are different dynamics that we go into. There's a much different dynamic between being on social media, being in a public place, interacting with your family, interacting with the community where there are set guidelines and rules. And we have to be careful not to be too rigid with these as much as possible. Obviously, there are different areas to experience different things. And it's good for us to have discernment to know the difference between these different kinds of dynamics and what kind of self-honoring boundaries that we are going to have for ourselves. And what I've noticed is that a healthy boundary isn't, you can't do this to me. It's, I don't accept that in my life. Do you see the difference? And I don't even feel like I'm saying the correct words, but I feel like you guys are going to get the concept of it, but we don't have control over what other people do. Now, if someone is doing something that is activating you, that is an opportunity for us to look within and see what is that dynamic that it's bringing up. Is it really that they meant to hurt us? Or is it just rubbing on something that hurt us in the past? Is it an irritated wound that still needs to be healed? Did someone pour some salt into your cut on accident? Or was someone just authentically trying to love you in the way that they authentically do it. And if we say to them, when you do this, it hurts me, then they have to kind of evaluate that. Now, if it is something that they're doing to love you and not to hurt you and not to cause you harm, then you may have to go inside and say, is this something that I can work on? Is this going to be something that I'm ready to experience right now? Because when you tell somebody that they can't express themselves authentically to you from a place of love, not a place of judgment, then it kind of puts a lot of rigidity into the dynamic. And a lot of people don't even realize that the things that they're saying to you are triggering. And I think it's nice to have that discernment to know when we can have those conversations with the people in our lives that we care about, to say, hey, when you say this to me in this way, this is how it's received from me. And they will that will give them an open door to explain how they actually meant it. Or they may get defensive. Or it may be something that you guys can both work through together. You may be able to offer another suggestion. I think there's a lot of dynamics where we've been raised by people who want to lead us. They want to show us the difference between right and wrong. They want to correct us. They want to guide us. So that language becomes very natural, very subconscious. It just comes out when we care about people. We want to help them. But I think it's important to realize as we're grown adults that not everybody is open to criticism or suggestions. And it's a lot healthier if we can ask first, to ask if they're open to the guidance that you may have for them, to the suggestion that you may make. And I think semantics can be very helpful in allowing your message to come through in a way in which it's well received. Because when we tell somebody that they should do something, it gives a connotation of judgment. And that can be triggering to someone who is doing the best that they can, and they can't take any more of what they should be doing. And there's a guilt, and there's a shame, and there's a heaviness. So instead of saying, you should do this, you should do that, you can switch it and say, if it were me, I would do this. If it were me, I would do that. Are you open to a suggestion? I think I have some guidance that might benefit you if you're open to it. And that opens a line of communication that isn't so rigid and isn't so heavy. Because we're all doing the best that we can do, I believe. And we only have so much energy in a day to do certain things. Sometimes everything that you want to get done or you know that you should get done don't always get done. And that's okay. It's okay to be aware of it. And it's also okay to ask for help. It's also okay to communicate how you're feeling. I just encourage you to do it in a way which is self respectful for you and for the other people involved so that we can learn and grow with each other and that we can have conversations that spark expansion instead of closing off our heart spaces and shutting down and feeling guilt, feeling shame, feeling disconnected. And these things happen when we over identify with certain aspects in our life that are there from a wound instead of our true authentic self. You know, you can over identify with being a sensitive and empathic person, and that can give you a pass to not want to be around people. We are social beings. We need social interaction. We build beautiful things when we are in a healthy community. And some of us are triggered by intimacy because we've been hurt. But you deserve love. So, do we tell someone to stop loving us because we don't know how to accept it? Maybe. In the moment, you do. You say, I just can't handle this amount of love right now. I have to learn how to love myself. I have to become more capable to hold these things and to feel worthy of them. And sometimes we use being spiritual as a crutch too, thinking that we can't make any mistakes, that we're evolved past certain things. And for the most part, when you are doing the healing work, you're seeing things from a different perspective. You're doing things differently. You're more aware of how situations affect you and other people. But you also become aware of the duality as well. When you start to understand the energetic dynamics that are in place, then you can say, okay, if I am being my true authentic self and it is activating for people, are they going to accept that activation or are they going to see it as a trigger? And you have to understand that both are beautiful. Both are necessary for healing and growth and expansion. Now, I'm not saying that you should sit there and take abuse from someone who is triggered, but that's where discernment comes in. We have the discernment of saying, is this someone that can be reasoned with? Is this someone who is listening to understand? And if the answer is yes, then you may be able to talk through that situation with that person. If not, then you may have to block them. You might have to end the conversation. You may have to report instances of harassment. But this is where discernment comes in, because not all of those people are going to be abusive. Not all of those people are harassing. And when we can talk through those things with people, it can be truly transformative. And if we can explain why we feel certain ways, or why we see things in different ways, and why there are certain rules that are in place, because it's for the betterment and the overall well-being of the community or dynamic, then we can thrive in a situation or a container like that. And we are all learning and growing together. And not everyone is going to see things or experience things the same way that we do. So when we have the courage to ask, you might be surprised at what you find out about another person that you love, or even a stranger. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope that this came through in a way in which it can be received well. And I hope you guys have a great night. Love you. Bye.